Mr. Simpson, would you please stand and face the jury?
OJ Simpson and the knife. It's the one key piece of evidence the LAPD never found.
That item has been recovered by robbery homicide investigators.
Or have they?
It is being treated as we would all evidence. It has been submitted to our lab. They are going to study it and examine it for all forensics, including serology and DNA and hair samples.
Now it's revealed that a construction worker demolishing Simpson's mansion in 1998 found a 5-inch buck knife. 5 years after the demolition, he gave it to this now retired traffic officer. He kept it all these years as a souvenir. Everyone wants to know, could it be the murder weapon?
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty.
Simpson was famously acquitted of the murders of his ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman. Investigators and prosecutors never produced a murder weapon at trial.
I don't know if this whole story is possibly bogus from the get-go.
I know what happened to the murder weapon. We have a witness at LAX that saw Simpson exit the limo and empty out a small half-moon-shaped travel bag in a trash container right next to the entrance to American Airlines. We find out, of course, the trash collected 3 times a day goes to one of 2 common city dump areas, landfills, so the possibility of finding that would be impossible.
Does OJ agree? The knife revelation reportedly elicited laughs from his cell. Simpson telling a prison snitch who leaked his comments to the Daily Mail, "It's complete. I'm not that stupid. I got on a plane that night going to Chicago. That's all I'm gonna say." And a retired prison guard telling the New York Post, OJ has a saying, "If the knife is rusted, I can't be busted."
We learned multiple ways to, kill people, and it involved cutting people's throats.
Now Crime Watch Daily investigates. Could important clues be hidden in a long-ago shelved TV show? Did Simpson learn how to stab, stalk, and secretly ambush during training for Frogmen? Todd Allen is an actor and producer who worked with OJ on Frogmen, an action show about former Navy SEALs on special assignments.
At one point, everybody was convinced that the murder weapon was one of the prop knives, and there was a scene where OJ ends up with a knife to somebody's throat, and it turns out it's his estranged daughter.
They filmed the pilot in Puerto Rico just weeks before the double murders in Brentwood. Allen says during training, he and OJ learned how to kill 4 people at once using a serrated dive knife.
You come up from behind somebody, and you've got the blade in your hand this way, like this, and you come up from behind and get them, turn their head to the side and go.
And that is exactly how the coroner says Nicole and Ron were killed. A slash to the throat. And then the fatal wounds, multiple stab wounds to the body. The prosecution painted Simpson as an abuser who beat Nicole. Allen claims OJ was obsessed with his ex-wife and Ron Goldman.
It would come up all the time. And there was a few times where he would tell me things like, I saw Ron Goldman driving my frickin' Ferrari, and I could tell. It irritated him.
Wally Crowder was the stunt coordinator on Frogmen.
You could kill someone very easily with this knife. It goes in your pocket like this, and then when you pull it out, it's supposed to come out.
He wondered if OJ did do it, could he have used one of the knives from Frogmen?
I remember hearing on the radio, I was driving down the road one day, and they said the knife was 5.5 to 7 inches with a serrated blade. And I thought to myself, wow, that could have been the dive knife. So I came home, pulled out a tape measure and measured it, and I actually went and Xeroxed it on the Xerox machine and sent it to the DA's office, and they said, well, that's circumstantial evidence. We couldn't use it anyway.
Finding the actual murder weapon has dogged the LAPD since day one.
He had no time to dump this knife at Rockingham.
Remember, the knife was found at the Simpsons' Rockingham Avenue estate some 18 years ago.
Given the length of time, it's really unlikely that they're going to be able to recover any evidence from this knife.
Forensic pathologist Dr. Judy Melanik, co-author of Working Stiff, explains why it might be impossible for the police CSI team to determine whether the knife is the murder weapon. Using 3 knives of different types and lengths, she stabs a spaghetti squash to demonstrate.
The rind is somewhat similar to human skin. And if you take these 3 very different knives and stab them, it's very easy to make identical marks with knives that have very different characteristics. That's why matching a knife to a knife wound is very difficult. You have to have the knife at the scene, and you need to be able to match it with other characteristics, such as the blood on the knife.
Testing on the knife found at OJ's Rockingham estate should be completed within the next week or 2, but cops are skeptical, saying it's not likely to be connected to the murders. For now, Simpson is still in his cell in Lovelock, Nevada, where he's serving a 9 to 33-year sentence for a botched robbery and kidnap in Vegas. He's up for parole next year and is reportedly worried news stories about the knife could persuade the parole board to keep him locked up. And coming up on Crime Watch Daily, more from Tom Lang, the lead detective in the trial of the century.